Hi guys, in this video we'll be making this. So let's go ahead and start. And just to point out, this gold might look this bar of gold might look a bit wonky, but that's just because the camera angle. This is not on top of the ground. I also thought that it looked like it was hovering above the ground, but it's not. It's perfectly on the ground. I could show you that in Blender, but we're just gonna move on. So let's go ahead and open Blender up here, and let's make a new project. So once you got Blender open, you're going to be able to see this, and what you can do is go ahead and delete the light. Go into a side view, put the cube on the green line or the y-axis, and add a plane as the ground. I'm just going to rename it. So now what we can do is we can check how it is in camera view, and as you can see, we cannot see the cube in the middle, and the reason is because we move the cube onto the ground, onto the plane, or onto these lines. So let's go ahead and adjust this camera by using G until you like it. I think this one's a bit good, so yeah, we're gonna do that. So now what you're gonna do is you can go ahead and go into edit mode for the cube, and let's go ahead and start modeling the gold bars. So first what we're gonna do is we're going to press period and set our pivot point to 3D cursor. Another way you can do that is go into this thing, it's beside global, and just change it into 3D cursor. So now you can press A to select all and scale it down. And so right now you can see that it's going down to the 3D cursor, which is like the red and white thing with 4 lines. But it was before at median point, so now it would just do it in the middle, like it would go to the pivot point. So yeah, go ahead and change that into 3D cursor, and let's just do this. So another thing to mention is if we change this back into median point, as you can see, no, whoopsie daisies. Whenever you go into this thing, so whenever you go out of edit mode and you scale it, it goes to the pivot point. So, not the pivot point, the yellow dot. So it does everything by the yellow dot. But we want to do stuff with the yellow dot. I mean, we want to do it in the middle. So like, you know how it was in median point, it would just do everything in the middle like that. So if we wanted to do that like that, what we would do is we would set this origin, this yellow dot is called the origin. We would set this to the geometry. So go ahead and tab out of edit mode, go into object mode, and set origin in object. It says set origin and origin to geometry. Make sure you don't press geometry to origin, or else it will just go into the middle or wherever the origin is. Or another way you can do that is press Fn and F3 and say origin to geometry, and it says right there. So origin to geometry, not geometry to origin. So now the origin, or the yellow dot, goes into the center of the cube. So now we'll do everything with the center like that. So now that we have our pivot, not pivot point, the origin and everything like that, let's go ahead and model this thing. So change your thing to 3D cursor, scale it down, scale on the y-axis, scale on the z-axis, and scale it out on the x-axis. Maybe that much. So now you can go into the face, select, scale it down. So that does not look like a gold bar yet. So what we can do is we can actually just, no, not like that, Y, and set there, okay, and SC, okay, that looks a bit too wide. So yeah, just make it until you think it's a good gold bar, I guess. And now what you can do is press on shade smooth. But before you do this, these corners are a bit too sharp and it looks really weird when you shade it smooth. So what you can do is bevel this, so press Control B or Command B, whether you're on Mac or Windows, or you can just use the bevel modifier in the modifiers tab. I'm just going to use the shortcut and just do it very littly. Like maybe that much would be good. And so now you would just shade the smooth and it'll make it a bit better. And so if you really want to, you can go into the object data properties and turn on auto smooth in normals, but I just don't think that would be a good idea. Actually, yeah, you can just change that into 60. So now that we have our gold bar, if you think like we have to color this, we actually kind of do, except we don't have to color it. Like we don't have to give it a material. I'll show you what that means in a few minutes after we make our other stuff. So first, before you move on, as you can see, since this is shaded smooth, it's just peeking out of the ground. So let's just go ahead and shade this flat. Okay, so perfect. Now if we go into the camera view, it looks like this. So just rearrange the camera. And yeah, just keep it like this because we're gonna make like stacks as it was in our gold bar. So what we're gonna do now is we can, yeah, so as you can see, the origin is not in the middle of the gold bar, so we're just going to do that again. FN, F3 or F3, I don't know. And the good thing about this part, Blender already just saved what you already did, so just press enter after you did that. So now you have the origin to that thing in the middle of the mesh. So now we'll do everything to the origin. So what you're gonna do now is we are going to select the ground plane. Oh my god, that's a bit too big, so I'm just gonna scale that down a lot. Yeah, we can do it a little more. Maybe that would be better. Okay, so we can duplicate the ground plane, move it up, scale it down. So what am I doing right now? Well, what I'm doing is I am adding a light into the scene. You might do it a different way by using the lights, but I just like to do it this way because in this way the light is about where you like place this thing. The strength is about where you place it, and you can do. It's much easier to control basically. So now that we have this right above our gold bar, make sure that's not in the camera if you are going to render this. Even if you're not, I think it's best to just get it out of the frame so that it doesn't disturb you. So now that you have this is the part where like stuff gets super weird, kind of. So in this render properties, go and change the render engine to cycles. You guys might have used cycles before, I'm not sure. But now you can change the device into your GPU compute. I actually don't have a GPU in my computer right now, but I don't know why, but it just goes faster. So I'm just gonna put it on GPU compute. And so what you can do now is, if you use cycles before, this would be obvious. Just go into render engine or viewport shading. And so now it's going to make all these dots and weird things. So this is just cycles, like loading everything. And so if you go into your camera view, you can see that nothing is there. It looks like nothing. That's because there's no light to give any light and make stuff. So you have our plane. Let me just name this lamp top. So yeah, since I named it lamp top, you might get an idea that this is a lamp. And it is. So how are we going to make this emit light? So I just said the word there, emit. So go into the material properties and change the principal BSDF into emission, and it emits light now. Except we don't really see anything. Kind of. Well, let's actually make our scene a bit lighter. So let's change the strength into 20. And so right now, before you, in the video, like before at the starting, I said we are in the gold bar. We are not actually gonna materialize this. So what do I mean by that? Again, we're not going to give the gold bar a material. We are just going to make a light the material. So what you can do is you can just go change the color of the light that you're gonna get and just change it into a gold color. So I think this would be good, but then at the same time it has to be darker. So let's just get that into a pretty good gold color. Yeah, I think this is best. So what you can do now is you can actually change this ground, add a new material, and change this into a glossy. So change principal BSDF into glossy BSDF, and it'll make it like shiny and all that stuff. So change the roughness into 0.14. So whenever I'm making a ground plane, I always like to put it at 0.14. But for this project, actually, I don't want to make it 0.14. Instead, let's make it 0.3. I think that's the best. So now we can actually see our gold bar. And so in the video, when I was showing the render that I did for this, there were a stack. So we're gonna make that stack, and we're not gonna absolutely remake this because it took some time. So what we're gonna do is just rotate this on the z-axis onto side view, so that now if we look in camera view, it's facing this way. So go into side view or +3 on numpad. Now we can just move this up, and we can duplicate this by pressing Shift D. Move this down below. So actually, whenever I'm making, like, whenever I made this for this project, for this video, what I did was I went into solid view so that it wouldn't like make some lag and stuff, so that I couldn't see anything. So I just went into solid view and just did this stuff. So now let's go into GUI, this right here, and duplicate this and move it on the y-axis. So let's select everything, not everything, just box select these 3 gold bars, move them down. I'm gonna use Control Snap to grid. Maybe right there would be fine. Or actually, just make it where you think it would fit. So I'm just gonna put it right here. Now what you can do is select these 2, Shift D, GZ, move them down, GY, and just put them where you think that's good. Yeah. So now you can select this one, Shift D, GZ, GY. GY. Perfect. So, this looks a bit wonky for some reason, so I'm just gonna fix it. Yeah, so that's pretty good. And yeah. So, it'll be a hard time just selecting like all of these like that. So what you can actually do is give these like, so select all of them and select this bottom middle one and press Control J or Command J whether on Mac or Windows, and then it makes them all one. So if you go into side view again, if you click on only one of them, it's going to select this whole thing, stack. So you may or may not want to do this, but I would suggest doing this. Gold. Okay, so now what you can do is, in the picture, there were like actually a lot of them, not just the stack. But before we make that, I'm just gonna set my thing to 3D cursor and just scale these up. Actually, instead of doing that, what you can do is select the camera and then go into camera properties. I think you're already on there. If you are, then change the focal length into something like 130. I'm picking 130 because that's what I used before. So now what you can do is just duplicate them and just make like a lot of them. So let's just put some in random places. And as you can see, you don't want to duplicate the stacks, you just want to duplicate separate ones. So what you can actually do for that is you can tab into edit mode, press L on one of the bars, and what is happening here? Okay, yeah, that's super weird. Let's just deselect everything. Press L for this one. Okay, yeah, problem fixed. So now that we selected only one of them, you can use Shift D to duplicate this, and then so actually G, okay, X faces. So one second, I'm just gonna check this. Yeah. So instead of doing it on the top, since you want them to be on the ground right now, you can just select this one in the middle. So Shift D, G, and then right now, instead of doing it anything like these would actually be really good. But what I do is I do G Shift Z. So now this excludes the Z-axis, which means up and down. So you can only do it on the ground. So perfectly line up with the ground, or it will just be how it is in this gold bar thing. So let's just make different rotations. So GZ. And another thing to point out, you don't want this to be the exact same thing as this, or else it's going to be really hard to like change the rotations and do all of that stuff. So what you can do is once you have this thing selected, press P and press selection. So now it will separate this, and you only have this. But one more thing to point out, our origin is not in the middle. See, if we rotate this, it's going to rotate according to that origin. So what we can do is F and F3 or F3 and just press enter since it's already saved. So now RZ and just, what is happening? Wait 1 second. RZ. Okay, I think I have an idea. So what you can do is, whoopsie. Okay, so what you can do is object origin to geometry to origin, G Shift Z, and move that R Z. Okay, I don't know. Oh, okay, wait 1 second. It's the 3D cursor. Okay, so change that into median point and just do RZ. So now it's gonna work. Sorry about that. I couldn't figure that out. So now you have this rotated. So RZ, let's make it a little bit different. Yeah. So Shift D, GZ, no, Shift D, not Z. RZ, like that, G, Shift D, RZ. So now you can just do this one, GZ. Oops. And I'm just gonna cut this part out because it's just super simple. Just place them wherever you want to. And that's just how we're gonna render it. So let's go ahead and put these in the middle here. And set this into render view. So now we got our gold bars. Except we forgot to do one more thing. Just select all your gold bars that you made. I'm just going to go into render or solid view. Select all of the gold bars like that. So now I have all of the gold bars selected. And if you saw what I did there, I just went into the objects place where you can see all of the object, and I just clicked on the gold bar stack, and then I use Shift to select all of the other gold bars. So the thing that we forgot to do is just go into the materials and give the gold bars a glossy material, because you know gold bars like shine. So yeah, that's why we're going to use 0.6 of the roughness. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. So if you want to, you can animate this. I don't really understand how are you going to animate this. Maybe you can make something that's falling, like one of the gold bars are falling. But yeah, that's all we're going to do right now. And another thing that you actually can do right now is you can change this. So 0.21 maybe would be good. 0.247. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty good. So yeah, that was the end of the video. Hope I see you in the next video. Bye.